So, hello. Thank you for joining our virtual celebration. We're really excited to present what this group of media makers has been working on this cycle. I'm Maria. I'm the team program coordinator for Media Makers, which, if you don't know already, is an internship at Castle Square Tenants Organization for high schoolers who are interested in media production and social justice. Before I tell you what we do in our program, I'll just introduce you a little bit to Castle Square Tenants Organization. So the Tenants Organization was founded in 1987 and now has majority ownership over in the Castle Square property. CSTO's mission is to provide access to safe, quality, affordable housing and direct service programs like our teen programs. In this way, CSTO promotes the economic, educational, and social empowerment of low and moderate income individuals. Shout outs to our resident board members, our staff joining us today, and all the young people involved in Square Roots, Square Tech, and Media Makers. So here's the Media Makers. We're focused on using design and media to inform and advocate and empower through sharing young people's stories and voices. But for example, we talk about neighborhoods, issues impacting them, and the power of community to make social change. Interns learn valuable career skills, such as graphic design, photography, video production, and social media strategies, all while learning about important community issues and participating in new experiences together. This cycle, we had two groups of media makers. They're all here today, and they each came in person 2 days a week, with everyone virtually together on Wednesdays like we are now. Interns completed 10 projects such as stickers, prototypes, visual poems, and photo series over the past 14 weeks, each one building on the next, and you'll see all of those in today's presentation. It was such a great honor for me to work with these young people, especially because it was my first cycle here as a coordinator. I'm really grateful for their patience while I was learning alongside them, their thoughtful contributions to discussions, and their energy and excitement to be playful and to try new things. I'm so proud of you all. Thank you for showing up to our space with your whole selves. And please keep sharing your powerful stories and art and voices. And with that, I will pass it on to our first intern speaker, Daryl. Yay.
So hey everyone, my name is Daryl and I'm a sophomore at Boston Latin School and I'm an intern at CSTO Media Makers. And originally I came to this program, to learn how to play around with a camera, but after really getting to know the people here and learning how to use tools like Photoshop and compositional techniques, I really learned so much about what it really means to be part of a community and what it really means to be an artist and how to combine those two things. Now, on to social justice, you might have heard it before, but what does it really mean? Social justice serves to solve prejudices and barriers in society, often targeting racial, cultural, and religious boundaries that are often a result of certain factors like racism, which can come in different forms, such as systemic, institutionalized, interpersonal, and internalized racism, many of which exist in modern day society, events, and culture. We've watched and learned of several people's experiences with racial discrimination, as well as their thoughts on it. Also going into depth on the differences between equity, equality, and justice. The Words of Justice project was a way of combining tools like Photoshop and also creative design to create impactful messages through words. In this project, we were asked to pick a word describing a concept from our social justice workshops and use text, image, and design to illustrate the concept. It challenged us to navigate and play with different tools, stepping outside our own comfort zones, and also learning how to use symbols and elements in our own work to provoke a certain message to the audience. But this, being our first real project, really forced us to take a look at our society and really ask ourselves, what injustices exist within our communities? What is a problem that needs to be addressed, and what can we do to solve them? this topic of intersectionality arises, making it hard to send help to a majority of those that need it. But addressing certain topics and specific issues like cultural barriers, economic inequality, and much more, are we then able to make that change? But besides learning how to use artistic tools like Photoshop, which trust me it's a lot harder than you would expect. Something I'll never forget about the spring cycle was what it really means to reach out and be a part of the community. Being able to call all these people, my fellow interns, my supervisors, my friends, is what really keeps me motivated. There's so many people out there that you would never know, and getting to more of my own community, bonding with other fellow youth leaders, other artists, other people, is what I'll carry with me wherever I continue to go. And now I'd like to pass it on to Jadis.
How you doing, everyone? My name is Jadis. I'm a senior at Boston Green Academy. And first off, I want to tell you why I decided to join Media Makers program. I wanted to join because I want to learn more about media and video production. I was already taking a media making class in my school at BGA. I really enjoyed it. One of my favorite classes. So I decided, why not join something that's centered around that I already enjoy. So I thought media makers would be a good fit for me. And I was right, because I really enjoyed it. Now let's talk about the civic engagement course. Civic engagement course was mostly about getting us, the youth, involved in big economic issues in the world and teach us more about them. What I learned was about voting and the different kind of elections like gubernatorial election and presidential election. A gubernatorial election is referring more to election of governors, while presidential elections referring more to election of presidents. I also learned about the importance of voting in your local and state elections, as those officials really shape our daily lives. I learned about it through different activities, workshops, videos, events, and everything that we went through to give a greater insight on the topic. Civic engagement is important because we, the people, should exercise our right to be able to display our thoughts and opinions to the public to make a change in the world for what we believe in. In order to understand choices our officials make, we participated in the If I Rule the World activity, inspired by a song by Milk. The If I Rule the World activity was basically us as a group deciding what we would do if we ruled Massachusetts and what we would change about it to make it a better place. We used the pillars of the government to represent the different issues that we thought were important in the state and needed to change and what we would change about them. Some of the issues that I pinpointed were about education and housing. These topics are important to me because they're issues that I thought about and believe need to change, and would like to see change in the future for Boston. Our government impacts our life because they make all the important decisions and changes in our society that determine our lives. They decide the laws, city's budget, what minimum wage would be, what's legal, what isn't, things like that. Another project we did was the Get Out the Vote stickers. I wanted to incorporate something that I believe the youth would understand and would be visually appealing to them, and not something that would be boring to them, so something that really targeted the youth. So I connected mine to Drake's CLB album because I thought it would connect to a lot of the younger individuals out there like myself, because I'm really into rap and I feel like a lot of young people are too. Overall, I like the way the stickers came out and the whole project itself. Massachusetts residents should vote in upcoming elections, make their opinions heard, and be able to decide who they want to make the big decisions in the community. That's why making the whole Get Out to Vote stickers and everything is very important. In conclusion, media makers helped me get more educated in Photoshop, photography, videography, and other skills that could be developed into a career in the future. It's also helped me grow in my communication skills and vocal skills with other people and be able to work in an environment with other people. It also helped me become more creative and allow me to be able to create and express myself through designing. I'm glad I was able to meet everyone, all the new people like Maria, Maddie. They really helped me a lot. And I was glad that I was able to take something away from this internship that I could use in the future. Thank you. I'd like to pass it on to Alex.
Hey, hi everyone. I hope you're having a nice evening. My name is Alex, and I joined CSTO Media Makers mostly because of the photography aspect really stuck out to me. So that's why I chose to do my presentation on photography. So our photography section was about learning like the basics of photography, including different principles on how to take the best pictures. Um, for our first project, first photography project, each intern brought in an object from home that was important to us, and we took still life photos of these objects. During this part of the project, we learned how to use a lighting kit and to create indoor studio lighting. Um, then we did outdoor portraits of each other in pairs. And like as my first experiences with photography, this was like super cool for me. I'd never done anything like this. Like we learned how to make the right exposure adjustments on the camera, as well as different composition strategies to take the best photos possible. Um, we did the still life and portrait photography projects towards the beginning of the cycle. So again, I hadn't had much experience with the program before this. For the two projects, I was really excited to be using a DSLR camera for the first time. It was really cool to be using a professional camera and getting a taste of what it'd be like to be a professional photographer. I used all of the skills I'd learned in our lessons to take the best photos possible in both projects. And in the lessons, we learned about centering our subjects in photos. We learned leading lines, symmetry, how to eliminate shadow, differentiate camera angles, and how to set different moods in different photographs. We also learned about the different settings on a camera, such as ISO, shutter speed, aperture, focusing photos, and zooming in on our subjects. We also learned how to direct a person who's modeling for us and how to bring out a person's personality within the image. So in only a few short months, we learned a ton of really cool aspects of photography. So Media Makers has helped me by introducing me to the world of professionalism, since this is the first professional experience I've ever had. Over the last few months I've spent in this program, I've learned a huge amount about photography, obviously, also media design and graphic design. I'd never, before this project, before Media Makers, I had never like made a single Photoshop file, but now I feel really confident making good designs and editing my photos. I've learned a lot about from Media Makers and I'm excited to use the skills I learned here in future projects and jobs. I'm going to pass it on to Ella.
My name is Ella Zhang, and I'm a senior at Boston Latin School. After a summer of watching Chinese films with my grandmother, I was exposed to the magic of Asian film. I applied to Media Makers with the goal of pursuing this newfound interest and to continue my lifelong passion for art and storytelling. The A Beautiful Boston project allowed me to capture my neighborhood through a camera lens. The project asked interns to create a series of 8 photographs using our DSLR cameras that captured the beauty or uniqueness of our neighborhoods. I think I've always tried to view beauty in the world around me, and it felt really nice to be able to share a little snippet of my vision through photography. I practiced color grading using Photoshop to edit each photo according to their lighting conditions, perspective, etc. I tried to encapsulate a sense of calmness and vibiness in every photo. I tried to make sure there was a clear subject matter, and that I practiced the photography principles that we learned at Media Makers. I particularly chose to do recognizable places along my commute path to and from school. For the past 6 years, I've passed these places and they have become so familiar to me that they somehow became a bit invisible. It was only after inspecting them under the right lighting and weather that I saw their individual beauty. I'm someone that likes these smaller spaces as opposed to more famous structures around Boston. Past the rundown pipes and telephone wires, I see a stories of a community and shared history. I've always been drawn to things that were slightly hidden, but in plain sight. I hope these photos were able to capture this idea of appreciating the small, average, and partially hidden things in life. I'm a person that is innately creative, but struggles to find the time and sometimes will to do practice. Going to Media Makers every day did not feel like work. Every day I walked in and felt like I was naturally doing something I've always wanted to have the time and space to do, create art. When I applied to Media Makers, I was in a very confused place. I felt like I'd spent my entire high school career chasing a fake version of myself. As I continue to the next chapter of my life, I'm excited to start with a new mindset. Media Makers has taught me to do everything with authenticity and a good heart. I know that through hard work and grit, I can accomplish anything. I will pass it to Layla.
Hi, my name is Layla. I'm a junior at Josiah Quincy Upper School, and I joined Media Makers to learn more about graphic design and photography. I also want to learn how to use Photoshop and a DSLR camera. In the social media course, I learned about design strategies, target audiences, company approaches, engagement, etc. Some social media strategies that can engage an audience are story posts, consistency, and following trends. For our first social media project, we had to create an Instagram carousel post about voting. The audience I was targeting while making my carousel post was people 18 and older who can vote. I organized my carousel posts by brainstorming colors, themes, and ideas, then using Canva to create my carousel post. My Get Out to Vote carousel post was about the importance of voting and how your vote impacts your state. The election I was encouraging people to vote in was a presidential elections that took place in November 2021. Lastly, I really liked my experience at Media Makers, and I learned how to take photos, videos on DSLR camera, making different projects using Photoshop, editing videos, making a video about my neighborhood. Media Makers helped me grow and think more creatively about graphic design. Something from this cycle that I'm proud of is learning new skills that could help me in the future. I will pass it to Frank.
Hi, I am Frank Wu. I'm a junior at Josiah Quincy Upper School. It's also my first cycle at CSTO Media Makers. I applied to Media Makers because some of my friends who were already in the program introduced it to me. They said it focuses on learning about photography and graphic design. Those were two things that sparked my interest. I was also a very shy person, so I also thought that maybe Media Makers could be the thing that was able to change me into someone completely different than before. In the past, all the programs I've applied to were virtual, so that meant I didn't have much experience of in-person communication. So Media Makers was going to be my first in-person program I was going to attend. The SMC campaigns, which stands for Social Media Campaign, was about showing what social issues we felt passionately about and felt others should know about. So basically, it's a replica of the real Instagram profile, but we use the power of Photoshop to edit the words, the post, and the highlights, create a prototype page. So what me and my fantastic team members did was we focused on immigration because it is something that we have seen in the past or previous years. In order to engage with the audience, we also shared our stories on that profile. We have highlights of what we have posted and done, which can be used to interact with the audience. Media Makers was a great experience for me. On the first day of Media Makers, I didn't really speak much because of my lack of communication skills. Also didn't know anyone and didn't know we had anything in common. When we were assigned to our first group project, I was like, oh man, here we go. Told myself to just speak or ask a question at least and forget about making mistakes because there's nothing to fear. Now looking back at it, I am confident enough to say their names and ask how was their day or how was their weekend or break. I made many friends this cycle, improved on many skills, both personally and artistically. Thank you. I pass it to Taliana.
Hi, my name is Taliana Whitaker Price, and I'm a 10th grader at John D. Bryant School of Mathematics and Science. I joined this program because I had an interest in photography that I had never done anything with before and that I wanted to explore. And this seemed like a good opportunity for me to do just that. One of the projects we've done was a social media carousel project. As you heard from Frank, the first part of this project asked us to create our own social media advocacy page. For our Instagram page, my partner and I created 3 different social media posts, including 1 carousel post to help raise awareness about immigration. To give some background info, a carousel type post on Instagram is one that you can scroll through. It's basically a slide presentation on social media. Part 2 of the social media project was about creating a carousel post that represented a social issue you're passionate about. The goal in this portion of the project was to work on our social media and design skills and learn about spreading awareness about social justice issues we care about on social media. My social media carousel topic was about immigration and teaching people on social media things they may not know about it. And to expand on this a little bit, I want to talk about the post I made about immigrant families. One issue here in the US is that immigrant families are often split up through unfair deportations. So I created this post to kind of get the message across that all family units matter, regardless of where they're from, where they're going, and where they've been. To make this post, I first had to do a bit of research on some issues that immigrants face in America. Then I opened up Canva and started designing it. I learned more about the different ways immigrants contribute to this country's economy and about how they're mistreated in return. From immigrant army veterans being deported to refugees fleeing extreme crises being denied asylum in the US. Coming from a family of immigrants, these issues are very important to me, and they're things that my own family members have dealt with in a way. And media makers, there were always different new challenges that are constantly being presented to us through various projects. There's always room to learn something new. I remember the first time we were introduced to the pen tool, and I could not figure out how to use it for the life of me. Now I'm able to use it to create so many different things. One accomplishment I'm most proud of is getting better at creating people using the pen tool and other tools on Photoshop. Thank you, and I will now pass the mic to Aiden.
My name is Aiden, a freshman at Boston Latin School. I found out about this program through the newsletter at my school, and I joined because I thought it was cool and would be a good chance to broaden my skill range. Throughout the program, we learned about graphic design and how to use Adobe Photoshop. Throughout it, we learned the use of many tools in Photoshop, such as the pen tool, the brush, the image adjustments, and much more. But the huge part of this was to learn what makes a good design, what catches the eye of the viewer, learning things such as color schemes, shape choice, and patterns. But when one wants to design something, there are a few things to think about. Who is this directed to? What is the message I want to spread, etc. When practicing all these skills, we would do activities called brain stretches, where we would be asked to put the knowledge of the tools we were learning about to good use. Maria would give us a prompt to do, or a few lines to make images out of after doing a demo where they would direct us on how to use it. And we would use those prompts or lines to practice and hone our skills with said tool. Following the prompt, we would proceed to make our creations, varying from collages to absurd drawings. Frankly, I enjoyed these activities because it was a fun way to get more familiar with a brand new tool and allowed me to be more creative with how I use them. Throughout the entirety of this cycle, I grew, learned more, and began to break out of my shell. I will always remember the feeling of starting a brand new project, working tirelessly to finish, before taking a step back and seeing I exceeded all my previous expectations of what I could do. And trust me when I say there's no other feeling better than basking in the warmth of your success, the feeling of surpassing all your previous limits. The most memorable example of this would be my get out the vote sticker, where I started using the pen tool. After a bit, I realized I could work this like how I'd make a digital drawing. And when I finally finished, I saw everything everyone had done and was proud of everything the other interns and I had done. Now I'll pass it over to Wilson.
Hello, my name is Wilson Ricardo Jr. I'm a sophomore at English High, and I heard about Media Makers when I was in school from my guidance counselor. What made me so interested with this was the fact that I'd be learning new skills whilst earning a stipend. I was especially excited because I was able to learn more about videography and photography, which were things I really wanted to know before. One thing we learned was public art. Public art is a way that you are able to show your work up close and more personal than a museum or social media. Now don't get me wrong, those are both incredible places to advertise your work, but I think that if someone really looks up close at the art, it really shows more of the detailing that is into the piece that the artist and some of the struggles that the artist might have went through. In our graphic design workshops, we were asked to design our own public art on a utility box, like the City of Boston's paint box program. We learned some things that we had to do before we started creating. One big thing was thinking about what we actually want to put on our utility box. I eventually wanted to add something that the viewer would take away after seeing the utility box, so that way they might learn something that they may not have already known beforehand. I also wanted to be able to show something that about the neighborhood that made it unique compared to other neighborhoods in Boston. So while I was at CSTO, I was able to learn, experience, and see a lot of new things that I have not experienced before. I was able to learn about photography and videography, and I was really able to put myself in the shoes of photographers and really understand some of the steps they have to go through when taking a photo, like taking a photo of an object inside with lighting compared to having to take a photo of someone outside in a public area. This program just helped me to explore more parts of my neighborhood and look more carefully at the things I will need to look for when it comes to taking photos or videos. And something from the cycle that I will never forget was that I was able to see a very interesting art museum, mostly because I was able to see a brand new part of Massachusetts that I've never seen before, which was just a wonderful experience. But the most important thing I am going to remember is the amazing friends I have made in this cycle, who I am going to remember for a very long time. I will now pass it to Angelique.
Thank you, Wilson. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angelique Newby, and I am a sophomore at the John D. O'Brien and a returning intern to the Media Makers program from the summer 2021 cycle. I first joined the Media Makers program with the goal to learn more about photography and the media aspect. I decided to continue with the program to sharpen my skills with Photoshop and meet new people. Graphic design and design thinking course was mainly about learning how to create exciting and attractive designs that highlight data and messages in an effective way. The main concept I've learned is that the right colors can go a long way in delivering a message and or making a point. The same is true for the right images or symbols. One of the big ideas that I took from the clothing design and messaging workshop was with the right brands or labels, any regular day object can sell for way more than it could without them. People can express themselves through clothes by showing their personality through colors and just the aesthetic of the kinds of clothes they choose to blend together into outfits to portray who they are. The Advocacy Merch Project was a project where we could take social movements, make and then prototype them on different clothing items of our choice. I chose to make a design to represent climate change, primarily the melting of ice caps. I also chose to put this design on a shoe because I felt like no one else would have done shoes, and there is a big audience for people who love sneakers. I hand drew a sneaker as well as pasted a polar bear on an iceberg that was on fire and also melting. I included a really big sun to emphasize the impacts of global warming causing the ice caps to melt, which can end with a lot of polar bears dying. I then used the tool on Photoshop to make the lines of my sneaker a lot cleaner and sharper and to add color to it. The last step was to add a polar bear to the shoe. I hope that people take away from our project is that situations like climate change really do have everlasting effects and aren't just hyped up by the internet. Last but not least, the Media Makers program has helped me grow this year in my artistic and social ways cycle. It has granted me a new way to make art other than just the traditional 2D ways and has given me a chance to improve on all that I've learned from my previous cycle. An accomplishment that makes me proud is that I was able to be early to the program and complete all my work on time. I am also very proud of myself for being more maneuverable in Photoshop. Something from this cycle that I will never forget is how much fun I've had meeting and getting to know everyone and spending time with them as well as Maria and Maddie. And I want to give them, as well as my fellow peers, a large thank you. And I'll be passing it to Sky.
Thanks. I'm Sky Coakley. After attending Media Makers Fall Cycle in 2021, I knew the community around this program was something I really wanted to be a part of. Throughout the school year, I've been busy being a high school senior at English High, a Mayor's Youth Council ambassador, and overall a new young adult. Through this stressful time, Media Makers has continued to be a creative outlet I needed to succeed in multiple other parts of my life. With every project this cycle, interns had the chance to describe their community in ways words alone could not express, whether it was through photography, videography, or digital art. In the previous cycle, we completed a zine project, also titled the Dear Boston Project, in which interns took photos of their neighborhood and wrote a letter to it. This just so happened to be my favorite project. Our video project this cycle was also very similar to the zine project, but in a video format. I believe I'm speaking for every intern here when I say we all grew closer to our communities during the creation of each project. Not only did we get to share parts of our neighborhood many others may not be familiar with, but we also got to learn even more about the streets we grew up in. The Dear Boston project was a video project that included shots of our neighborhood as well as a recorded spoken word poem in the background. There were several new elements we had to learn in order to create this. For instance, video editing, filming, and audio recording. It was amazing to see how each intern managed to interpret their neighborhood in their own unique way. Personally, I enjoyed the video editing the most out of this entire process. My goal was to leave viewers with a new perception of Mattapan, and I believe we definitely accomplished that. During the 2 cycles at CSTO that I attended, I grew as an artist. Now that I have more tools and experience than ever before, I feel confident in my ability to create with a multitude of mediums. We're going to share a video screening with you, which will take a total of 15 minutes for all 7 of our videos. And I'll pass it to Maria.
Thanks, Sky. So just a heads up, we're gonna show our videos, so I need to share my sound, and just want to give a warning to note that the videos do mention violence. So just a heads up. I'm gonna share a different screen. All right.
Dear Dorchester,
And Jamaica Plain.
oh, the two that are our homes, you have brought us very fond memories. From the places to the people, we hold you dearly in our hearts, and despite your flaws, we still have a place in our minds. Oh, Dorchester, you have the filth, litter, and streets crowded with madmen roaring at each other, but you still have beauty underneath all those layers. You have pockets of beauty such as Pope John Paul Park, with its rolling fields of grass, and then the Ponset River running alongside it. You have memorable landmarks such as the Rainbow Swash, a container rising up over the horizon, with its bright rainbow colors against a white steel hull. I still have many fond memories of you, such as watching movies on the big screen at Pope John Paul Park while curling up in a blanket to stay warm, and playing at Garvey Fields with my siblings for hours on end, underneath a blazing hot sun.
And oh, Jamaica Plain. Just like Dorchester, you have dirt, litter, and cigarette butts almost anywhere I step. You have so many untold beauties that are just not talked about a lot. Like all the delicious restaurants and a place for people to go and eat, with your sweet and delicious food options that will make your mouth water as you look through the glass trying to decide what you want to eat. All the way from Alex Jimmy's to burritos. I remember rushing to burritos after school just to get me a delicious slice of cheese pizza. And it wasn't just about all the restaurants, but also the snacks that would catch your eye with the colorful wrappings and all the different flavors you could get as you enter the nearest corner store. I remember when I was trying to decide what to get with the couple dollars I had in my pocket, like trying to decide between all the different chips and snacks to trying to pick between an Arizona or a soda.
So to both of you, you are incredible places that we both hold dear to our hearts. We hope that the gifts you have given us are given to the next generation of people, that they may too be able to make memories of their own.
Best regards,
Aiden
and Wilson.
Mattapan, rumored and feared. Mattapan, air that needs to be cleared.
Over the years, this neighborhood has changed, but the same people walk up and down the Ave. No matter how you dress, your shadow is the same.
Mattapan, dangerous to some, a beautiful home to others. Mattapan, oftentimes shot sons left crying mothers.
Gorgeous fall colors paint the trees, giving life to the cement city. Every weekend, there is a new party where you really experience our community's diversity.
Mattapan, the population is high, but the income is low. Mattapan,
The darkest soils where the best plants grow. Mothers would say, "Come back when the streetlights come on," knowing we couldn't get too far on two wheels. There's nothing like the summer sky and the smell of asphalt.
Mattapan, the density of homes lowered the cost of living. Mattapan, the crime rates here just aren't giving.
I am judged based on where I'm from, but no one really judges me. Is my zip code the only thing that you see?
Mattapan, once claimed and named a good place to be.
Mattapan, there's more to my home than what goes down in the streets.
Dear Jamaica Plain and Rosendale,
Cuando era niña, I skipped up and down your sidewalks happily, on my way to El Campo, to run around and pick the pretty yellow flowers para mami. Y el parque infantil was always my favorite place to be.
The sense of community is so strong here, especially in the square. Since I moved here, I have gotten more interested in nature because I have had more opportunities to spend more time there, since you have so many natural areas and parks for me to experience.
Mommy would take me to Alex Jimmy's. The smell of tostones and carnitas would fill my nose and my lungs after entering. Your restaurants siempre tienen los mejores platos.
If you were a person, I would describe you as the calmest, steadiest, most peaceful person in the world. So whenever something big happens to you, it's a big deal.
All of these beautiful memories I have of you are what I want to convey through my art. And I promise to you, I'll do just that. Con mucho amor,
Alex.
Taliana.
Dorchester is a tale of two cities.
The day floods the streets with warmth, the air buzzing with radios from hustling traffic, the smells of busy kitchens, and the chattering of passing crowds and pedestrians. At the cocoa leaf that lies across Field's Corner Station, a symphony that only plays in what some call the dot.
As time passes by, the day starts to fade. The night creeps in quietly. The streets clear, except for the people huddling inside their cars. The only noise left is the click-clacking of shoes hurrying home. Young people heading home with their headphones over their ears. The honks and humming of cars. The chatter of those who dare defy the hour.
The night begins to settle and it goes quiet.
Boom, boom, boom. Loud bangs go off in the distance.
Shots go off one after another.
The shrieks and cries echo into the night. They fire over and over and over until it goes quiet once again. The loud blaring blends in with the symphony that is the day until it becomes a rumor of the past.
The light of a new dawn brings the hope that resides in the people that are stronger than the bricks that make up their foundation,
The people that walk across its streets and its roads.
the people that go hand in hand in times of need. For Dorchester is not just a place,
It is a people.
Our story begins with small moments: walking in the rain, taking the tea, eating with friends, the pieces that come together one by one to make ourselves whole. As we craft the larger pieces, graduation, college, family, these short-lived memories become hazed by time.
Life does not slow its pace. When we are lost, it does not stop to tell us directions. These small moments are gravitational, guiding our compasses even when night cloaks the needle. When dawn comes, we can look at our footsteps. Some people trace them back, some choose to move forward, but all are grounded.
Dear Mission Hill. Mission Hill is a vast neighborhood, but people don't notice that Mission Hill is a neighborhood filled with the unknown. There are tall buildings, big landscapes, and peaceful roads. There are also plants and animals, but the trees are small and animals are quick. Usually, you would see people in every restaurant of Mission Hill. Now, when you walk by them, it's just emptiness. Picture it as a Wild West kind of setting, like the tumbleweed rolling across the street.
Dear JP, I walked back from Heath to see him, a boy running towards the traffic light and up the concrete stairs with lampposts as railings. I wondered where they led: a field of flowers or a park, a basketball court or a school. The secrets beyond the stairs, and your name remained a mystery until senior year. That fateful summer arrived, where I met you on the stairs that separated our neighborhoods. As I walked up the stairs, I saw the telephone wires that outlined my skies were replaced with trees in yours. Birdsong replaced the sound of loud cars. Gardens replaced the cracked concrete. We were mirrored yet miles apart.
Dear Rosendale, I miss how close you were to all my favorite places to eat and have fun. I would walk down my street and be able to smell the pungent aromas of food from different restaurants on the block. I miss how quiet you were. There was little noise from cars or people at night. All I could hear was the humming of the cicadas in the distance. I like how diverse you were. I would see people from all different races, personalities, and ethnic groups all in one place, laughing and enjoying life as a community. Our community has all shaped who we were,
Who we are,
and who we will become.
Dear Boston, a place where memories are created. Dear Boston, so full of life, so full of culture, so full of lights. Dear Boston, where the North End and downtown unite, the sound of music enchanting our ears, and the bustling people that moves with the wind, where all the streetlights hum and sing to us. Open your doors for all of us to see. Dear Boston, everyone knows who you are. Above the lovely buildings, I found comfort by just wandering around the streets. Amazed by the people thanks to you. It made me realize how much I've never noticed about you. Dear Boston, dusk till dawn, the smell of fresh roti and the sound of dishes cleaning. Your doors are open to everyone who walks by. The roads are never empty. Dear Boston, I'm scared to forget the beautiful memories I've made. Will you remember me as time goes by? Will you remember as I get older? Everything broke. So will I. Why stop there? The landscape, the building, the people, the home, the food. Dear Boston, there's so much to do. Come take my hand. Let us show you.
Dear Boston. Dear Boston.
Dear Boston.
Dear Boston.
Dear Boston.
Dear Boston. Dear Boston. Dear Boston.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
to our neighborhoods. In the South End, when I look outside my window, I see more people like me. As I head more towards the downtown or Chinatown area, I look around and I see people that don't have the same features as me or who I can't relate to. There is diversity depending on which block you're on. South End is full of high-priced grocery stores. The Whole Foods, CVS, 7-Eleven, and Starbucks encompass Tremont Street. Summer days, as I pass by these stores, delicious smells fill my nose. As I walk down Tremont or Washington at 10 p.m., the silence of the air makes me quite safe as a child being comforted by their mother.
Let it be known that Roxbury's past is as dirty as the streets, yet its future is as hopeful and bright as the colorful dots that lead down the stretch of a school on Dudley Street towards Nubian Station. The kids are nourished with laughter and watered with free time to free their minds and let their creativity flow. Education not only is one's transportation to a better life, yet so is entrepreneurship. A plethora of barbershops, salons, corner stores, and restaurants sprout from left and right, as beautiful and resilient as a rose shooting up from concrete. The boundary of this neighborhood is up to one's interpretation. Nevertheless, 12 women died in this neighborhood. People who could have molded Roxbury into something greater lost their lives, which is why the appeal to the youth with activities at the Croc, street art, and recreational areas are so significant. They scream to the people, you are not caged in this neighborhood, but free to contribute to it as it does the same to you. Our neighborhoods are different, but it's still a work of art.
Congrats to all of these video makers, video producers. They did all the jobs in the whole video production pipeline in partners. So amazing job. That was our world premiere for the Dear Boston video series. I'm going to switch gears real quick. All right. We have a couple more speeches to wrap up our celebration. So I am going to pass it next to Eileen.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eileen. I'm a senior in Brighton High School. When I first heard the name Media Makers, I had the idea of community, technology, and awareness, which is why I was interested. I looked at this program more and realized that it was heavily influenced by art and technology. Art isn't really my thing, but I understood that I needed to attempt something new because my creativity and confidence required a lot of work. Through this program, I've realized that art is more than just a picture or a set of colors. It is the key to society and has a significant impact. Muralis Pro-Black is a visual artist and organizer who has transformed the culture landscape of Boston through graffiti's art since the early 90s. During April vacation, we spent 2 hours with him on a mural tour of Madison Park, learning about his work, perspective, and journey. An example of his graffiti work was in Madison Park High School, his Breathe Life series, which can be seen around Boston, but specifically at Madison Park. A little girl blowing a big bubble that represents the power of youth and community and is surrounded by beauty and life. Pro-Black's advice to young artists was to tell them to show up to their community, no matter who tells you what, because every voice matters and a voice can make a change. He has also let young artists know to never let anyone pop your bubble. Even if it happens, continue to breathe. After watching Pro-Black explain his work, I was able to relate this to my own utility box project by creating diversity and peace everywhere in our community. In May, Alexandra Onoha, the director of political advocacy at Black Boston and the founder of a business that aims to give advanced meaning to the complexities and excellence that comes with being Black communities. We learned about Onoha's journey and her many-sided approach towards her social justice work, from psychology to dance to advocacy. Onoha channels her passions into working for equity and equality in diverse ways for the local BIPOC community. I learned that everything is possible and patience is the key to everything. Alexandra's advice to young professional was to not fall into trap of fear. Always put yourself out there. It's important to choose people you want to work with because she believed it's possible for young people to articulate to the community and make a difference. In conclusion, through my CSTO experience, I learned the key to be creative and patient when the process takes long. Media makers helped me grow mentally by always speaking out on an idea instead of backing out. An accomplishment that I am proud of that I will never forget is creating a sticker to let Puerto Rico vote and creating a sweater that shows the power of immigration. Thank you. I will now pass it on to Anna.
Hey, my name is Anna and my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm currently a sophomore at Boston Latin Academy. So I joined the Media Makers program because I had my own interest in designing and photography. But it was also a great opportunity that I saw, and here I am. So throughout this internship, me and my peers were given many workshops to look forward to. These workshops were under the youth development along with like these after hours within the internship, and they were held together for the Media Makers, Square Root program, and the Square Tech program. So under the youth development, we were given financial literacy and a resume course. The goal for financial literacy was like a great way to introduce us to achieve financial stability. And it's also like a way to remind us to use money wisely as, students and young adults. Whereas the goal for the resume course was just to refresh us and guide us to prepare our own resumes. For this workshop, we learned how loans could affect us in financial literacy. And then I also learned about power statements and writing tips for resumes. I really appreciate these opportunities. And furthermore, young kids should learn that these are important because we don't really get a chance to discuss this in school. So I hope that eventually we'll apply these skills for future references, just to save up and to also practice these skills for job applications. So if you're wondering about after hours, these were a little bit of workshops that we had a little after our internship hours. And these were different opportunities for us to look forward to. Each of us picked around 2 after-hour workshops, and it was led by the Youth Development Program, the Chartered Finance Analyst, or CFA Society Boston, and the New Eastern University Service Learning. CFA taught us how borrowing and crediting worked, while YD taught us how to resolve conflicts and to prepare for interviews. For Northeastern University, we were introduced to like global warming issues. We had some advice for colleges, and we were introduced to communicating with the American Sign Language or ASL, and also mental health. And lastly, Year Up taught us how to prepare our own resumes. So for the after hours that I chose introductions to borrowing and crediting, and I also chose colleges do and don'ts. I was never really taught how money worked, so I wanted to learn more about loans and how money should be budgeted. This was actually something that I look forward to because I personally stressed so much about saving, especially since I go to college in 2 years, and I never really had a goal in mind. Barbara and Eric, who led this discussion, they gave us great examples, and they really offered some really good solutions for what I want versus what I need. While the other unit, which is the do's and don'ts in colleges, I never really thought about what I should or shouldn't do, but I really wanted to hear some advice from college students at one point. Michelle, who led this discussion, she's from New Eastern University. She introduced a topic about what should be offered to young people. And like, she also taught us efficient ways to spend our time talking to others, making new, communication skills. And I guess in this media maker cycles, I learned most about like social justice and the impact it has, not just towards like our community, but towards ourselves as students. And I'm really proud of my Photoshop skills, and the program really helped me step out of my comfort zone, especially since this was my first time doing this type of work, and I'm really happy with my results. I definitely improved, so I really wanted to thank Maria and Maddie for being so patient with everybody. Thank you for planning everything for the two different groups. You guys are the best. And I was also able to meet some amazing people in this program who helped me when I was struggling to edit from time to time. Thank you, and I will gladly pass to Sherelle.
Hello, my name is Sherelle. I'm a sophomore at BLS, and since I've been there as a 7th grader, I haven't been engaged in school activities or out of school activities. Yet one day, I finally looked at my many emails from my school that they sent and saw this internship, and it paid really, really good money. Not to mention it had graphic designing, but it was the money that really led me to apply for it. This is my first cycle, and my time at Media Makers became more than an opportunity to get money. Like I said before, I don't partake in any activities inside or out of school. This was my first. Usually I keep to myself and don't do much, yet this 10th grade year, I have come out of my comfort zone. I joined a club, and through this internship, I have been challenged to push and believe in myself more than I did before. Here, I have become more comfortable in my skin and interacting with different people, as well as not getting easily defeated when seeing a new technique we have to learn. Before, I would tell myself I can't, yet now I believe that I really can do anything if I actually want to. This internship helped me grow into an individual that is willing to give herself and her work a chance before seeing the final product. Sometimes it isn't how good the final result is, yet what you were able to learn through the process that shapes you, which is why my favorite project, ironically, was the merch project. This one, I used the pen tool. And when I first saw it, it looked like my worst enemy in the beginning. Yet it turned out to be the tool I primarily used on that project. I ended up becoming more confident about my abilities to use it and was able to create something I am very proud of. I'm so used to pencil to paper, it was challenging to adapt to at first, yet I began to feel more comfortable after using it for a while. This program helped me try many new things. My favorite memory definitely was when we played Mafia. That is where my love for it began, and also Alex's birthday, because that was when I ate my first vegan cupcake and when I decided vegan cupcakes are the way for me. Ultimately, Media Makers aimed to teach me skills, and it did. Yet it also helped me see myself in a more positive view. I'm so grateful to God that this opportunity now makes me look at myself for my worth and not my work. My work may not always meet the degree of others, yet it's my ability to put forth my best effort to do that work that counts and makes it special, giving it its worth. What made me proud in this cycle cannot be isolated to one thing. It is a collection of many different moments, from being able to interact with other interns, travel far out of my comfort zone to complete projects, and putting myself in a new environment, things I wouldn't have said I would have done a year ago, which is why I want to come back in the summer when school isn't an issue and I can really see how far I can push myself. Honestly, I cannot wait. Next, I'll pass it to Marie. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marie Brent, and I'm a graduating senior from Boston Latin Academy. There are many reasons as to why I joined Media Makers, one of them being the graphic design elements that were taught. During the 2 cycles that I participated in, I learned skills that I would have taken me ages to figure out. Media Makers enhanced not only my digital skills, but my creative abilities through media production. I've participated in 2 cycles, the fall 2021 and spring 2022. My time in Media Makers has shaped the way that I express myself through art. In my first cycle, I struggled with making art that depicted social justice. However, as I moved through the program, I was able to establish an understanding of how art can play a big role in social justice advocacy and how you don't need words to make an impact on a community. The biggest form of growth would be my usage of Photoshop. During the fall cycle, I really struggled with it. Instead of giving up, I asked questions and watched countless videos about it. As I entered the spring 2022 cycle, I was confident in the work that I produced through Photoshop. I've discovered through this program my love of digital designing and the process that comes along with it. Creating art would always be my passion. However, Maddie, Maria, and formerly Amanda have taught me that art can be political and serve a purpose. Understanding the role that digital justice has in this world made me realize the power of my voice through art. Media Makers allowed me to be more confident in the work I do, and I was very nitpicky and very critical about the mistakes I made. This program allowed me to create space within myself to be okay with the mistakes that I've made and that perfection isn't really my authenticity. One of my overall favorite projects would have to be the Dear Boston or A Beautiful Boston project. It allowed me to put my creative abilities to the test while teaching me the fundamentals of photography. As of this cycle, my favorite project would have to be the utility box project, just in a mix of art styles and extensive uses of the pen tool. Not gonna lie, it was a struggle forming all those little lines creating art out of those little lines too. There's points in time where I wanted to give up, but the results were relieving. Media makers helped me understand the power that media has, not only on the older generation, but the future that it has ahead of us. Understanding this concept allows for a deeper connection with your neighborhood and the people that live there. I would never forget the creative freedom that is presented in this program. Creating that space allowed me to discover new techniques and apply them to my work. Thank you, and I will now pass it over to Maria.
On mute again. Amazing. Thank you so much, Marie. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations for making it through this cycle and producing so much powerful art and storytelling together. Yeah, applause from everyone. Yay. I'm so happy to have been here to see all of that. And we also want to shout out our seniors who are graduating this semester. We have 5 of them. Congrats. We are going to highlight them here. So hooray for Eileen attending Northeastern in the fall. I'm so impressed with Eileen's pen tool on the Immigrants Are the Future hoodie. I would buy it. Yeah, congrats. And then Ella, hooray for Ella, going to UMass Amherst. Amazing job doing the video. I saw you working super hard on that yesterday, finishing it up. And also in the very beginning, like working on the storyboard and drawing out all of those scenes. Hooray for Jadis, deciding still, but we can't wait to have you back hopefully this summer and hear about what you want to do next. And I really liked seeing your photos of like at night, you got the lighting levels so good with like the signs that were lit up at night. Amazing. Congrats to Marie, heading to Wentworth. She's gonna start her own architecture firm. She's gonna come back and be a guest speaker. I can't wait. Yeah, super. You already talked about the utility box, but wow, combining all these styles really symbolically. And then lastly, Sky, continuing on at BFit, amazing. Really loved having you back too. And yeah, I don't know, amazing color editing on your photos. You like put your own filters on with, I don't even know how, you have to teach me. So congrats everyone. And I'm gonna pass it back to Maddie. Thanks to these folks for creating the PowerPoint. And yeah, really glad that you could all join us.
Yeah, thank you all so much. My name is Madeline Muehlberg, and I am the Teen Program and Youth Development Manager. I've had 14 amazing weeks, not only just getting to know all of the young people in this program, but watching them grow and really learn to be a community, as so many of them talked about. Every day there would be different young people coming into the space, asking everyone how they're doing, really trying to lift each other up and make our days better. And it was so amazing to watch each person grow and to really develop their skills and to find some kind of interest or love with media production. It has truly been an honor to work alongside each of the interns in this cycle. I also want to give a huge shout out to Maria, as they mentioned earlier in this presentation. This is their first cycle with us, and I think that they have really led our group of interns through an amazing cycle. And I see a lot of hearts in on the screen, so I think the interns agree. And last, I just want to say once again, well, thank you so much to CSTO, to Win Properties, because without these supporters, we would not be able to have programs like Media Makers. But once again, I am so grateful for all the young people. You can see their love and community in the chat with how they respond to each other. And it's truly such a great example of how we can work and live together in society, really being a community and really honoring one another. So thank you all for coming. This concludes our end of cycle celebration. Thank you for staying 10 extra minutes. We really appreciate it. And from all of the media makers, Maria and myself, thank you and have a great Wednesday evening.